Getting around the United States might be broken beyond repair. There are so many points of failure that you can't even point to a single villain. In order to survive in the United States, you need to be able to get around making cars a necessity. The average commute for work is around 17 to 20 miles. That's 27 to 32 kilometers for those who are not American. Your basic daily needs are also spread out geographically, with the average distance of the nearest grocery store being about 2.2 miles or 3.5 kilometers. Most people are making at least 4 trips a day between work, school, shopping, and responsibilities. Although it might be funny to tell the fat Americans to walk around and lose weight, if you live in the United States, you'll find out real quick that the roads are not built for pedestrians. It's not a luxury to have a car in the United States, but car dealerships might not necessarily agree with you. In fact, not that long ago, there were such things as economy cars. Now, that's a thing of the past. Most cars nowadays cost about $50,000. Car manufacturers figured it out by accident during a COVID semiconductor shortage. Ever since then, they've prioritized SUVs, trucks, and luxury cars, products with the highest margins. The economy car is now only about 2% of the current car market. There are almost no cars that start under $20,000. When cars cost this much, there's no other choice but to increase the life cycle of the loan. Several years ago, loan duration used to be more reasonable. They used to last 36 to 48 months. Not anymore. Currently, the same loan duration is about 84 to 96 months. You may be okay with the car you have right now, but what happens when it breaks down? What happens if you get into a car accident? What happens when someone is buying their very first car in a market like this? Let's pretend you were a first-time buyer in this market so you can get a grasp of what we're dealing with. Usually for a car, you want to put down 20% down payment of a car you want to buy. As a teenager about to get your first car, you go into a car lot. You're looking at a down payment of $10,000 for a $50,000 car, which most teenagers are not going to have. So you get advised that since you don't really have credit and not enough money to put down on a down payment, you should consider just buying a used car. The average used car as of right now is about $25,600 to $30,200. So you're looking to give a down payment of $5,000 to $6,000 for a used car. If we're talking, you put down 20%. Unfortunately, most people are going to put down $2,000 to $4,000 as a teenager in this economy. Given that this teenager with little to no credit history, they're going to get a subprime interest of 13 to 18% on an 84-month loan. Several years pass, the car starts to fall apart before that teenager is ever done paying it off. Then they try to trade it in, and it's called negative equity, which is when the value of the car falls below the value of the remaining balance of the loan. So if you do trade that car in, you basically have to take the remaining balance of that loan that hasn't been paid off yet, and it gets rolled over into the new car you're about to buy. One of the scary things is that 31% of trade-ins today come with negative equity. And this is before insurance, which has been going up every year. You're paying 40% more than you were in 2022. So now you're on a treadmill of debt to the auto companies. You might wonder, what exactly happened to the used market? The prices are so high. Well, around 2020 and 2022 during COVID, manufacturers were supposed to buy an estimated amount of semiconductor chips. They thought, we're in a lockdown, nobody's buying cars anyways, let's save some money. The lockdown gets lifted way faster than these manufacturers ever estimated. The need for cars surges again, and they try to order those chips again from the fabs, and all of the chips were already spoken for. So the manufacturers failed to build 8 to 10 million cars. The used car pipeline usually looks like this. Rental companies like Hertz, Avis, and Enterprise buy a huge fleet of cars. They usually sell the cars with a couple of thousand miles or so, giving the dealership lightly used cars. During the lockdowns, they couldn't buy new cars and had to hold on to aging inventory. Hertz goes bankrupt around May 22nd, 2020, with cars being more expensive and tariffs driving up the cost of new vehicles even further. Rental companies are forced to hold on to their cars much longer. Instead of replacing them once every 2 years, when these cars do enter the market, they have a lot more wear and tear and a lot more mileage. And the used car pipeline never recovered from this.
We recently bought a new Jeep Grand Cherokee, and within 6 weeks of owning it, we had our first major mechanical breakdown.
My 2025 Mazda CX-90 has been in the service department for the past 2 weeks, and when I called to get an update today, they told me it could be there for the next 5 months. So let's just hop into it really quick. 5 months ago, I bought a Mazda CX-90 with everything included, and it was a hybrid plug-in model. 2 days into having the car, I had to bring it back to them because it was not charging. 4 months in, I had to bring it back because it was leaking fluid. And most recently, I had to bring it in at 5 months and it's needing a new transmission. They're telling me that my transmission is on back order until the end of April, which would definitely classify this car as a lemon. They gave me a non-comparable vehicle as a loaner. And anytime that I reach out to anyone from corporate or certain parts of the dealership, I am ignored or given no answers.
My 2024 Toyota Grand Highlander Platinum is a lemon and Toyota is ghosting me. We countered and now radio silence. After being at the dealer for over a month, Toyota couldn't figure out what was wrong with my car and replaced the entire engine at 27,000 miles. We submitted a claim to Toyota and they offered to buy it back, but that offer was a lowball. It would have put us in the hole $10,000. We came back with a counter and since then, radio silence.
Well, why not just hold on to the car you have and just keep repairing it? Well, newer cars have a lot more computer parts to them. From fender benders to more serious accidents, if you damage even a bumper, that could make other parts of your car completely malfunction. They sure as heck don't build them like they used to. So now, if there's any damage to a computer part, you might have to end up replacing the entire section of the car. The local mom and pop might not have the schematics or any way just to get the parts needed just to fix that section. So you're forced to go back to the dealership and buy directly from the manufacturer, killing off any competition. Charging you whatever prices they want, the manufacturers are currently lobbying against the right to repair, fighting to make sure that the local mom and pop shops never get access to the schematics needed to fix your car. At this point, the obvious question becomes, why not ditch the car entirely? Well, public transit in the United States is criminally underfunded and extremely inconsistent. There are some cities that do make them work in the United States, but that's the minority. Some of you might have thought, well, why not just buy motorcycles since cars are so expensive? A lot of you that are from other countries might not know this, but the United States is so heavily built around cars to the point that motorcycles really are an afterthought, meaning the distance, speed, and infrastructure is all to accommodate cars. Also, people aren't expecting to be around motorcycles. So even though only 3% of the vehicles on the road are motorcycles, they account for 15% of the vehicle fatalities. I know you can see it. I know you can taste it. All the advertising claims and the solution to all the transportational woes, with all the techno CEOs trying to predict the future and telling you why the robo-taxis are going to solve all of these problems. Even if I were to concede that their product works exactly as they claim it does, it still wouldn't work.
31 Adam for as well?
No, can you show me out at 7th Ave in Osborne? I got a unmanned vehicle that was kind of taken off from me. It's a Waymo car.
It's not every day you see a Phoenix police officer pulling over a driverless car.
Hi!
But that's what happened June 19th after the officer observed a Waymo going haywire in traffic.
I couldn't help but come over just out of morbid curiosity.
Yeah.
I thought maybe there's a passenger.
One of the biggest hurdles is scalability. There's simply not enough robo-taxis to meet transportation on demand in the United States. The state of Texas made companies have to publicly register their robo-taxis and there are less than 1,000 of them. It would just simply take way too long for robo-taxis to scale up in time to fix such a massive problem. Let's say they can scale up and that the tech just gets better. Even then, the robo-taxis will come up short. For every mile these robo-taxis drive, half of it is spent with an empty car. So all you've done is add phantom cars to traffic with empty cars just circling and waiting. You haven't reduced traffic congestion, you just added empty cars to it. And that's assuming that the technology works. In April 2026, over 100 robo-taxis froze in the streets of Wuhan when they lost cloud connection, not by the curb, not in a parking lot, in an express lane and busy intersections, leaving the people stranded for hours. Waymo had issues with flooding 3 times now. A car stalled in a flooded Atlanta street for an hour. They suspended service across 6 cities simultaneously. They still have no permanent fix, and the most advanced robotaxi company in the world cannot reliably operate when it rains. There's a power outage in San Francisco. The traffic lights went dark. Waymo's fleet stalled over 1,500 times, blocking intersections across the city. There was a fire truck responding to an active fire and was blocked. The city's 911 dispatch center called Waymo 31 times that night. One dispatcher was kept on hold for 53 minutes. It's not yet confirmed, but as of right now, robo-taxis will charge based per ride. But if there's anything this type of industry loves, it's subscription models. So don't be surprised if they try to make that happen. All this auto loan debt has to go somewhere. And the truth of the matter is that the bubble is not going to pop. It's going to explode. And there really is nothing being done to mitigate this. The auto loan debt as of May 2026 is 1.68 trillion. Repossessions are now at 3 million, and 1 in 4 Americans are paying off auto debt. Surely the congressmen in Capitol Hill are doing something, right? That really would be shocking if they were doing anything about it. As you can very well guess, they are passing the buck down to the FTC and the CFPB. They have their fingers crossed that Elon Musk in the tech field solves the problems for them. When the FTC actually did try to do something with the CARS rule in 2024, with the goal to remove junk fees, hidden add-ons, and bait and switch at the dealerships, it was supposed to save the consumers billions annually. The dealership lobby struck back and spent millions lobbying against it. On January 27, 2025, due to a technicality, even the judge knew it would harm American consumers and vacated the ruling. So what Congress actually did was pass a spending bill that specifically blocked the FTC from enforcing the CARS rule. The Financial Services and General Government Appropriations Act, which gives $388 million to the FTC, but explicitly blocked enforcement of the CARS rule, among other regulatory provisions. The vote was 33-24 in favor of passing it on June 13. They didn't just fail to act, they actively protected the dealerships. So not only did Capitol Hill not do anything, they've accelerated the bubble that is guaranteed to pop.